Being able to control your emotions is one of the hardest things that you can do, but it will determine what kind of person you will be and the way that people will perceive you and the way that you will perceive yourself. Last week I had a really bad week as far as like my mental health. I was going through a bit of a hard time with my job and with my personal relationships, and I let all that get bottled up inside of me, and it ended up in me kind of like crashing out this one night and just leaving my job a little bit earlier than I was supposed to, and kicking cones and throwing my phone and just throwing a temper tantrum in my car, which is not very common of me, and I usually am pretty good at controlling my emotions, but this happened to be one of those nights where I just couldn't. So that inspired me to make this video for any of you that struggle with controlling your emotions and feeling like everything just gets bottled up inside of you, and then you just crash out and people see it, and then people lose respect for you, which it's to be expected, since you're showing them the worst version of yourself. You're showing them that you're a person that gets angry and lets other people see how angry they are. You let that anger show, you let that anger affect the people around you, or sadness, or whatever that emotion might be, which is why it's so important that we control our emotions, so that people aren't able to make these assumptions or judgments about us. And look, even if it comes down to that, you shouldn't really care that much what these people think about you, but we shouldn't let it come down to that, okay? Most importantly, it's about the way that we perceive ourselves. Because if you crash out every week, if you have one of these moments where you just can't control your emotions and you say the worst shit to people that you really care about, the one person that you're going to end up disliking is yourself. Because the next morning you're going to wake up like just not understanding what took over you, like what thing made you lose control. And that's the worst feeling like you didn't have control over what you said or your actions. That's a terrible feeling. And it all starts with emotional management, emotional control. Because if you can control your emotions, you can control your actions, and then controlling your actions will allow you to react based on logic instead of just pure anger or sadness, which then leads to mistakes, and then that leads to regret. Throughout my life, I've been a pretty emotional man. I think there's a lot of factors that go into that, just the way I was raised, the environment in which I was raised. I was very protected by my parents, and I was always very emotional whenever I saw extreme things happen, like in school. Whenever I saw a fight, it really affected me, or whenever I saw things happening, I just let those get to me. I'm just a very emotional person, just by default. And so I sort of had to learn to deal with those emotions in a healthy manner, since most of my life I did not deal with them in a healthy manner. I would just kind of not know what to do, and then just go home and scream, or go hit the punching bag, or go get a workout in, which is actually not a bad way of dealing with your emotions. But the most important thing when it comes to dealing with your emotions, especially as a man, is to be aware in the moment, and in every moment that you're alive, that this feeling will pass. And you can't make decisions when you are upset or sad or feeling any kind of extreme negative emotion. You cannot make decisions whenever you're sad, upset, or feeling any extreme negative emotion. I'm going to say that one last time. You cannot make decisions when you're upset, sad, or experiencing any extreme negative emotion. Because when you make decisions when you're feeling that way, you usually make a mistake. You usually hurt someone that you love. You say something that's mean or harmful. We don't want it to get to that. The best thing that we can do is not say anything when we're in that state. If you're at work, take a 10. Wherever you are, just take a break. Go in your room, go by yourself, go back to your car, sit down, and then that's when you have to understand that, first of all, you need a break, and secondly, this emotion will pass. Just having that understanding will help you deal with that emotion. Understanding that these emotions are not forever. Happiness doesn't last forever. Sadness doesn't last forever. Being upset doesn't last forever. Being happy with your life doesn't last forever. None of these emotions will last forever. there comes a point where you're going to feel sad again. There comes a point where you're going to feel happy again. But knowing that will allow you to be more calm when these bad things happen, when these negative emotions take over you. Because the problem is that when we don't have that awareness, we just let ourselves just react to the bad situations. Now, let's say that you do have one of these moments where you completely forget that this emotion was going to pass, and then you just reacted, and now you feel like you did something that you didn't mean to do, you messed up. What do you do after? Well, don't worry, it's not the end of the world. What you do after is you take full accountability for your mistakes. You take full accountability for the fact that you, as a man, were not able to control your emotions, and that led to you saying shit that you were not supposed to say, shit that you didn't mean to say. So you apologize to everyone that you need to apologize to. You apologize to yourself for letting yourself react that way, for not controlling your emotions. But then you also forgive yourself. And that one, I think, is the hardest one to do. Because some people are bad at taking accountability. For the majority of people, though, I think we're pretty good at taking accountability. The problem is that we beat ourselves up a little bit too much after. We can't let go of the fact that we made a mistake. And then that affects us in the future, because when we're reacting to things, we tend to bottle up emotions because we don't want to make another mistake. So we would rather just not say anything at all. And that's not the way to go about things. You need to be able to forgive yourself for your mistakes, but also learn from the mistakes so that you don't do it again. Journaling is a great way of figuring out what went wrong in a certain situation where you feel like you messed up. You can just write down what the problem was and how you're going to fix it for next time, and how you're going to work on that mistake that you made. If it's a pattern, then it's something that you need to work on, but it's not going to be worked on by you just saying like, oh shit, I messed up, and like just moving on. And you have to like write it down. You have to figure it out, get into therapy if you have to. But for me, I don't even have to get into therapy. What works for me is just writing down what the problem was, and then writing down the options or solutions that I had to that problem, and then going through them one by one. Taking the time to do that, that's so much more important than watching a Netflix show, than playing video games. That's so valuable. And sometimes, even if you have a really busy schedule, you have to work on your business or you have to go to work, taking a few minutes, like taking at least 30 minutes to just do that, will help you significantly in the future in your business or in your career, because it will allow you to control your emotions. Therefore, when you're experiencing these high levels of stress or whatever you experience at your job or while you're building a business, you're going to know how to deal with those emotions. So you have to take the time to do this. Because the good thing is that you only have to do it once or twice, because then once you figure out how to deal with these emotions after writing it down and talking about it with a friend or with your family or something, you're going to know in the future how to deal with them. So you're not going to have to deal with this problem again. So you usually only have to do it once or twice. So take the time to deal with this and to understand why you felt the way that you felt. Literally write down in detail what happened. So I reacted this way. I think I reacted this way because this person did this, which then led me to do this. And then what I said was harmful because of this. And then just, figure it out. But just see it as like, you are a video game character and you're leveling up your video game character, which is yourself. And to level up, you need to do the upgrades, right? You know how like in a video game, you have to go into the menu and then click on the selections and then like level up the sword or level up the, the armor or whatever. This is you leveling up your sword or your armor. And it's by you writing down what to do in the situation or what to do next time, how to improve as a person. So hopefully this video helped. I know it wasn't very long, but it's something I really had to get out of my chest because it's a problem that I have faced throughout my life, and I think I finally cracked the code to controlling my emotions and knowing how to deal with them in a healthy manner. By the way, something I forgot to touch on, going to the gym and boxing and doing those things, in my experience, have been a really good way of dealing with my emotions. Oh, there we go. Is it upside down? Oh yeah, it was upside down. There we go. All right. Going to the gym, boxing, those have been really good ways, really healthy ways of dealing with my emotions personally. I mean, as long as you're not hitting someone, you should be good. I think it's very good for your physical health and very good for your mental health. So if you have a sport that you like to do, or if you like to do music, sometimes that can also help with managing your stress and your anxiety. So do those habits that really help you kind of like forget or get in the zone, and then it will allow you to move on from that problem. And then that's a way that you can cope with your mental health or with your anxiety, sadness, whenever you get those phases of life. Again, hopefully this video helped. If it did, let me know down below. And if you guys want to book a free phone call, click on the link down below. We can talk about purpose, fulfillment, happiness, just whatever you guys want to talk about. So go ahead and book a phone call, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys. Oh, and don't forget, you're amazing.